And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Bulk or Busted. It's been a minute, but we're back, and I've got a special guest with us today. Why don't you introduce yourself, friend?
Hi, I'm Cody, or CobertMTG. You might have seen me on TikTok or Instagram. I do a lot of short form, like goof 'em up skit content. But I am here to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! I actually, before coming to Magic, used to play tournament Yu-Gi-Oh! For about 2-ish years, from like 2012 to about 2014. Played a little bit of Master Duel around like 2023, 2024. So there's a decent gap where I definitely have some missed knowledge. If anything has a pendulum on it, I have no clue. Like, I know how they work, but I have no clue if they were any good.
You're better than most people who be like, what's a pendulum and how does that work? I'm sorry you don't know basic math. But it's funny you bring that up because I knew this going in, and I'm like, because I usually bring in people who have little to no knowledge of Yu-Gi-Oh! Whatsoever, but you're the exception. So for you, you get a little special caveat. None of the cards that I am showing you have been printed before 2023.
Okay.
These are all new-ish cards.
Like within the last 2 years.
Yeah, within the last 2 years.
Okay.
So it's going to be fun for all of us. So let's get started with the first card. Because I sent you those. All right.
Cupsy Yummy. This is a fake card.
This is a real card. Let me read it off for you. So Cupsy Yummy is a 1-star light beast effect monster. Its ability is if you control a Link 1 monster or a level 2 Synchro monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, and you can only special summon one of itself once per turn this way. And if it's normal or special summoned, you can add one Yummy card from your deck to your hand except itself, or if this card was special summoned by the effect of a Synchro monster, you can draw one card instead, and you only use this effect of itself once per turn.
So, I do have a couple of questions. So this is obviously part of an archetype because it says that you can add a Yummy monster from your deck to your hand. So any searcher like this, if I can use the Yu-Gi-Oh terms, any searcher like this is good within its own archetype. So I guess the question is just, was the Yummy archetype good?
I'm gonna plead the fifth on that one.
Is what?
I'm gonna plead the fifth on that one. That gives away too much information.
So the thing is, level 2 synchro is really, really specific because at least when I played, there was only Formula Synchron.
And TG Reciproco Dragonfly. There was two.
See, that one I don't think was around when I was playing.
It was.
Okay.
Yeah.
The only one worth talking about was Formula Synchron, at the very least.
Don't say that to the TG players. They'll have your head.
But, so I think that level 2 Synchron is definitely very specific. Level 1 Link, though, I know, or Link 1, I know is much more accessible. I do know a little bit more. Like I said, I played some Master Duel between like 2023, 2024-ish. So I do know that like Link Karibo was one of the better cards for a while, and I think recently got banned.
Yeah, it did.
So I think that Link 1 monster is much, much easier to accomplish. So given that, and then there's also like, there's things like there's a lot of like, I know in the last couple of years, they've tried to put more of an emphasis on smaller level monsters. So again, I kind of just defaulting to the fact that this can tutor on either normal or special. It can special summon itself, and if you use a synchro to special it, it can draw. I think this card does so much on its own that my guess is that this card is good.
You'd be correct. This card, currently in its current archetype, is tearing apart the OCG. It recently, if you looked at the most recent report, it's about a quarter of the field, and we're about to get it. So.
Oh my god. Is Link Karibo legal in the OCG?
I don't think so. I might be wrong. I'll put a little asterisk if I'm wrong. But it just recently got banned in the TCG. This archetype just came out recently. Like, it is brand spanking new.
Mhm.
I barely know as much as most people do. All I know is that it is released alongside 2 other archetypes, one being furry cops and the other being dragons. And this is the one that's tearing apart the OCG.
Honestly, I could buy it because again, I'm just looking at it and I was like, this card. The only thing is the only caveat is if this archetype itself is good, because this card kind of does everything. It summons itself, it triggers off your extra deck creatures. You can trigger it off of just generic Link 1 monsters. It draws a card, it tutors. It just kind of does everything. So I was like, if this archetype is bad, then this is the one lone ship out of a terrible fleet. But if this archetype is good, this is like the absolute number one. 3 secret rares, they're $50 a piece, easily.
I think it's like around 10, 15-ish. It's not up there yet. But all right, you're currently 1 for 1. Let's go on to the second card.
All right, let's see number 2 here. Spellbound.
So Spellbound is a quick play. I'll take over the explanation real quick.
Yeah.
It is a quick play spell. All face-up monsters your opponent currently controls cannot be attributed or used as material for a fusion, synchro, exceeds, or link summon until the end of this turn.
So this is interesting because the thing is that in Yu-Gi-Oh, doing an extra deck summon does not use the stack. You just do it. Like when you summon like a Stardust Dragon or something, you know, to really show how much of a boomer I am. When you summon a Stardust Dragon, you don't like activate the synchro, so you can't like respond with Spellbound. The Stardust Dragon just hits the field.
For fusions, you usually do need a fusion spell, so
Sure.
some things work, some things
don't. The art's cool.
Oh yeah, it's one of those.
I like the art a lot.
It's one of those cards where it's like, is this a Magic card? No, it's a Yu-Gi-Oh card. What?
I think that this is too narrow. Like I could see this as like kind of like a stun card, but I think that there are already so many cards in Yu-Gi-Oh. Like you have the what is it? The Nobleman of
Crossout.
The one where like you can like exile something out of their graveyard and then negate that named card for the rest of the turn.
Oh, Called by the Grave.
Well, no, it's the one with the Nobleman of Crossout, but he's like pointing the sword.
Oh, Crossout Designator. Oh, that's the one where you take a card from your deck of the same name, and then that effect's negated for the rest of the turn. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have cards like that. You have like Called by the Grave. You have all of these cards, and I know that there was cards like. Not Jaugen. No, well, it was Jaugen the Spiritualist and like Vanity's Emptiness.
Yeah.
And you have cards like that kind of already do this, but they're more permanent. And this also doesn't stop decks that don't necessarily. I mean, I know that like every single deck uses the extra deck, but like there are some decks that can just summon a big idiot and hit over you.
Monarchs.
Yeah, Monarchs. Well, no, because it says that they can't be tributed.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right. I can't read.
So, like, it stops Monarchs, but, like, there's the one, was it Snake Eyes, that has the big, like, 3,000 attack dragon that it can just summon. So, I'm going to guess. I think that this card might have uses, but I also find it hard to buy that a deck would necessarily want to run this, because the only application where this card would be good is if you happen to be going first, you happen to have this in your hand, and then you can set it and flip it in their upkeep, which I think just makes it too narrow. I'm going to guess that this, at most, sees play in sideboards, but I'm going to guess is not super playable.
Man, I thought I tripped you up with this one. Yeah, no, this is bad. No one played this.
Yeah.
This is one of those ones that was, like, hyped to the moon, and when it came out, it's like, what the fuck is this? Get out of here.
Oh, my God. There's so many, like... I think it's very funny whenever... I'm trying to think of, like, what cards that was when I was playing. Because I don't think there was ever a card that got printed that people were like, oh my god, this is going to break the format, or if they did say that, they weren't correct. Because like,
Yeah.
I remember Spellbook of Judgment was that when I started playing, and
See,
people
but
were
that
like,
did
"This
see
card is."
play.
Yeah, they were like, "I think this card is broken," and then they were right. That card was horribly, horribly
And even
broken.
then, that wasn't the best deck in that format.
Yeah, it was like
Rulers.
maybe 30% of the format. But yeah, when I'm reading this card, I'm like, I could see again the application, but I think that, you know what it is? I think that if this card was printed in 2012, I
Oh.
think this would have seen play.
100%. 100%.
But I think that knowing what I know about Yu-Gi-Oh, I think this card is just too slow. I think it's again, the only scenario I see is you go first, you happen to draw it, and then you flip it on their upkeep, and then you stun them out of the game. But you're already, ideally, if you're going first, you're kind of setting up an unbreakable wall anyway.
Yeah.
So I think that this is just kind of a win more, and if it's in your opening hand and you're going second, it's just stone useless.
Yeah. Like, you can be running better quick play spells. Like the two we just mentioned before. Like, because this would be a sideboard card, 100%. And you have things like even Called by the Grave at 1 and Cross Out at 1. I'd rather draw that and hold them for later, because at least then they'll be useful at some point in the game, other than this one of that most other stun cards do better.
Yeah, because Max C is banned, right?
Forever and always.
Because
Except if you're playing Master Duel.
Yeah, because I was going to say, it's legal in Master Duel, and I think it's legal in the OCG too.
So, Maxi actually had some development. It's semi-limited now in both.
Okay.
Which is a surprise to everyone, because it's been legal
Which
in the OCG forever.
I don't think it makes a difference, right? Because, like...
it's less consistent, whereas running a 3 of, but it's still Maxi legal in a format.
Yeah, I think that, like... It's funny because I think that the only thing that changes is how likely you are to open it, but it doesn't actually, like, you only need the one. If you activate the one Max C, it already does its job.
Yeah. But alright, you're 2 for 2. God damn. Usually
Sick.
just stump someone at this point. Alright, on to the third card. And this'll tickle your fancy as a 2012 enjoyer.
Crimson Dragon.
So, Crimson Dragon is a level, I believe that's 10, light dragon. If this card is special summoned, you can add a spell or trap that mentions Crimson Dragon from your deck to your hand, and then as a quick effect, you can target one level 7 or higher synchro monster on the field except itself, return this card to the extra deck, and if you do, special summon a dragon synchro monster from your extra deck with the same level as the targeted monster. This is treated as a synchro summon, and you can only use each effect of Crimson Dragon once per turn.
What a weird card.
Would you believe this is like the third Crimson Dragon that have been printed up to this point?
That's so weird. So I did count it. It's level 12.
Oh, it is 12? Okay. There's a
which
little
makes
space that always throws me off.
No, I know. I wish they would just have, like, star X number or something.
I think they do that for Rush Duels, but I'm not certain on that one.
But, so this is only ever hitting the table for, like, a second. Because the idea is that you would... Well, actually, you wouldn't necessarily have to do this immediately, because this means that you can technically synchro summon a dragon on your opponent's turn.
Mm-hmm.
So, but is it worth doing this, or is it just worth summoning the dragon that you already have in the extra deck? Because this on its own doesn't really do anything. Like, I guess when it has the ETB to go and tutor for a spell or trap, and then target one level 7 or synchro monster on the field, except for Crimson Dragon. Return this card to the extra deck, special summon the Dragon Synchro with the same level. So, that's... So this requires you to have 12 levels worth of monsters for a tuner and a non-tutor. A tuner and non-tuner. You then have to have another large Dragon Synchro on the table. And then you have to bounce this back, which means that you're almost always trading down, because 12 is the maximum amount of levels. So you would almost definitely always be trading down in resources to go from this to another dragon, and you have to have another synchro already on the table. I'm trying to imagine a world where the spell and trap that you could tutor for this is that good. And I'm also trying to imagine a world where, because I mean, it might be giving the game away, but are there dragon, or it doesn't have to be dragon synchros, right? No, it does have to be a dragon synchro. Are there dragon synchros that have like ETB destructions?
I want to say that there are, just because of how many dragon synchros have been printed. So I want to say it's a less than 0 amount of them.
Mm-hmm. So that probably not entirely relevant. So the only world I could see this happening in is your opponent, you summon this, you tutor for your spell, you pass to your opponent, they attack into your dragon, and then you do the quick effect cup swap game. Because they would choose to attack this because it has no attack and defense versus your other creature. Then you have to synchro into something else. I could see you potentially getting value over the fact that, like, because you go into this synchro, it already tutors for something, but I don't know what the Crimson Dragon spell and traps are. So I'm going to guess, I think this card requires you to jump through a lot of hoops. And I think this is also, again, coming down to the cup thing of, I think that how good this is going to be determined by how good the rest of the Crimson Dragon archetype is. I'm going to guess this card is bad.
Finally got you. No, this is heavily played. So Synchro,
really?
So Synchro as a playstyle has significantly evolved since the days of like Edison. So you are dropping synchro monsters even faster than before. Like, you look at Quasar Dragon loops, and they seem like people going 20 and a 60. So you are able to really take advantage of the fact that you were able to, because Crimson Dragon also requires generic material on both fronts. So it is very easy to just tag in with another synchro monster you have, bring this out, and then quick synchro into something else on your opponent's turn. Because
that's true, because it's not once, because you can technically do this, you can do this more than once, because you can like bring out something, you can like bring out a dragon synchro that is also a tuner, which I'm assuming exists, and then resynchro the dragon you have with that to make another Crimson Dragon and just keep going.
I believe they only really drop it out once. I know for a while, I want to say that they were using this to quick synchro into a deck stun style of was it Synchro Monster? I think it was like the big hot red dragon Archfiend King Calamity, which basically just ended your turn once it was synchro summoned, and since it treats it as a synchro summon, it gets its effects. And even since that card was banned, this still sees play. Like, this tops, because doing my research finding cards, this topped a lot of events recently. So
interesting.
It's the dichotomy of toolboxing your extra deck to just get into what you need. Think of like a Karn board, but it's dragon synchro monsters.
So that's interesting, because like, again, I'm thinking like, because synchros were around, because when I was playing was like the height of Xyz, and I was like the one synchro defender of like, synchros are still good, but everyone was onto Xyz. I remember the one that really got me was Infernities, because there was a version of Infernities that just played Xyz monsters, and I was really adamant that it was worse than the synchro Void Ogre Dragon version.
It's like, I'm gonna play Doom Dragon, I'm gonna play Void Ogre until I'm dead.
Yeah, I'm gonna play 100-Eye Dragon, but everyone was like, no, you need to take your 2 Infernity Archfiends, and instead of like getting a bunch of value, you should just make Abyss Dweller. And I was like, this just sounds terrible. but it kept winning tournaments, so I guess I was the idiot. But like, synchros, when I was playing, it was like, unless you were playing like Karakuris or something, you would typically only make like 1, maybe 2 a turn if you were going crazy. So that's really interesting that 1, synchros are way back, and 2, you're making like 3 or 4 a turn now.
Yeah. Because what is it, like the big archetypes that utilize synchro summoning are the White Forest cards, and I believe, I'm blanking on names now that I'm on the spot, like the Cupsy monsters use synchro monsters as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, synchros...
I remember, it was a funny thing that like, there were so many archetypes, like I remembering like the Noble Knights.
Oh god.
Where like, they were all equip spells, and then they had some XCs, and then they printed like one synchro monster, and everyone thought it was like a joke.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, now the Ignoble Knights I know are like a whole new thing.
They had their time in the sun. Yeah.
And like Fire Fists were the other one where it was like you either had the level 4 or level 3, and the level 3 version was like a synchro deck, and then the level 4 version was the Xyz deck, and it was always debated which was better. And then eventually they just started mixing the two of them together. But even then, like if you played level 3, you were just making the one synchro per turn.
Well, they had like 2 to their name. They had Horse Prince and Kieran.
And Kieran sucked.
It did.
Kieran was really bad.
Yeah. But yeah, no, you're currently 2 for 3. No perfect record today.
That's still a really good batting average.
Yeah. Let's go on to number 4. This should also ring a couple bells.
Oh yeah, because there was Rescue Cat, and then Rescue Rabbit was the terror when I started.
All right.
I started playing right before Dino Rabbit got hit.
So what we have here is Rescue Hedgehog. It is a level 4 Earth Beast monster. You can manage a card you control, special summon 2 level 3 or lower monsters from your deck with the same type, attribute, and level as each other, 1 normal, 1 effect, but their effects are negated. Also destroy them during the end phase, and you'll use this effect once per turn. This is the, I believe, 5th rescue monster. There's Cat, there's Rabbit, there was Ferret, and there's another one I'm forgetting. I'm gonna hate myself. I'm gonna put it on screen, but yeah, there's 5 rescue. It's either there's 4 or there's 5.
This card, so without giving an answer immediately, this card to me looks very good because it requires you to jump through slightly more hoops than Rescue Rabbit, but like not that many more. So like you have a normal monster and an effect monster, so you can't just get 2 of the same anymore. It does mean that you have to play the Garnet in your deck of your 1 normal monster.
Yeah.
And they're level 3 or lower instead of level 2, or instead of level 4, because I remember that was Rescue Rabbit's big thing, was that it could make rank 4 Xyz, which is why it was so terrifying with Evil Zors.
Yeah.
So this looks to me more along the lines of Rescue Cat because it gets level 3s, but they have to be the same type, they have to be the same attribute and level. But I think that all of these hoops that I'm reading don't seem like that big of a deal because if you're playing this card, you're building your deck around these restrictions. And like there are a lot of archetypes that already have these restrictions in place. Like there are a lot of archetypes that just play all cards of the same type, attribute, and level already. Yeah. I know that like Xyz are kind of boomer Yu-Gi-Oh at this point, but I'm sure there are still Xyz creatures that see play. I'm sure there's still Xyz archetypes. Like I know when I was playing Master Duel a lot, I played a lot of Sprite.
Yeah. And
Sprite is entirely an Xyz archetype.
So it's funny the way Yu-Gi-Oh card design has gone since the mainstream anime has ended. Because usually the way card design went is that it followed the anime. So that's why we had new archetypes or new playstyles every like couple of years because it followed the anime. So when the anime ended for us, which was Reigns, card design kind of got to go off and wasn't bound by restrictions. So now all of like the summoning mechanics have like equal representation with themselves. So like you will see like Xyz decks, Synchro decks, Link decks, Fusion decks, all manners, even Ritual. Ritual got better somehow.
Yeah. It's that, which is honestly really nice because like I remember when I was playing like during the Xyz era, it was everything was just Xyz. Yeah. Like it's like you said, because it followed the anime. And I know that like when they come out with like new mechanics, they're like we have to make everything about the new mechanic because I mean it's just good game design. If you come out with a new mechanic, you want people to play with it. It's
like the show also advertises the cards, so you want
exactly
big representation for that.
So actually, give me 1 second. I need to adjust. So like even outside of the show, like if I introduce a new summoning mechanic, I'm gonna want to print a lot of support for it because that's just you want people to play with your new cards. That being said, I think that things like the effects being negated and destroy them during the end phase effectively might as well not be printed on the card. I mean, it's there for a backup, but like whatever you get is being turned into an extra deck monster. It's either being turned into an Xyz, it's being turned into a Link monster. It notably doesn't say they can't be used as Links. The only again restriction I can see is that one monster has to be a normal monster. And the other thing too is that Rescue Hedgehog does not share a level with the level of the monsters that it can get. Because that was a thing with Rescue Cat, that it was a level 3 beast and it could fetch other level 3 beasts. And I think Rescue Rabbit was also a level 4.
Yeah.
So if you had level 4 synergies in your deck, it also worked with this. This is a level 4 that only gets 3 and below. But notably, Cat and Rabbit were confined. I don't remember if Cat was, but Rabbit was confined. You could only get 4s. It wasn't 4 or below. Yeah. This can get 2 3s, 2 2s, or 2 1s. So I think that this card does have quite a bit going for it. I am going to say, though, I think that the restriction to normal monsters does limit it to only seeing play in decks that can support normal monsters. And I know that, like, a lot of decks when I started playing, or not a lot, but there were some decks that, like, you could mix and match archetypes, or you could go archetypeless. Like, Dino Rabbit was a great example of that, where it wasn't really an archetype. It was just kind of a, here's all the best cards in the format Xyz deck.
Yeah.
So I am going to guess this card was played, but it wasn't like a staple. It was like a fringe card in a couple of decks that could support it, but the decks that played it did want it.
All right, I need a bit more of a concrete answer. Is it good?
I'm
or
going to
is it
say
bad?
this card. I'm going to say this card was good. I'm not going to say like format staple, but I will say this card was good.
You're 2 for 2. So the thing with because I knew I'd be able to trip you up with this one. So the last good rescue monster was Rabbit, and I looked up what the other rescue monster I missed was. It was Hamster. So rescue. The problem was Rescue Cat was like era defining in itself. So they capitalized on that and made Rabbit. Rabbit was too defining. It was too good for what it was. So they've scaled back ever since. And like you mentioned earlier, if this card was printed in like 2012, this would have gone off gangbusters. This would have been banned or limited. But it just cannot keep up. This effect does not do well nowadays. Like, even with Ferret and Hamster, which I believe are both pendulum monsters, so it worked well, though they worked well with each other, even they weren't that good. So this was really just nostalgia printing for the sake of it. Like, cute card, don't get me wrong, did not see any play.
Interesting. So actually, I looked up Rescue Cat, because I remember Rescue Cat was banned when I played, because there was like MX Saber like invoker loops you could do with it. But I actually was wrong. Rescue Cat is a level 4. I thought it was itself a level 3. And it can get level 3 or lower beast monsters. So it actually is just the same as Rescue Hedgehog, but just a little more generic, because it doesn't put quite as many restrictions on you.
Yeah.
That's interesting, because this is like, it's like we were talking about for the other ones. This looks like it would be like a Link starter in the modern era of like, there would be some Link monster out there that cares about normal monsters. So you'd go get like an effect monster that cares about being in the graveyard, and then your one normal, and then you'd Link, and then you'd go off to the races.
So it's funny you bring that up, because there's currently an archetype that is seeing heavy play now that focuses on normal monsters as a way to extend their bridges, and it's called Primite. It's what got Blue Eyes another top within the last 2 years. Where even with a card like this, it still doesn't even see play with that. So it just really is just nostalgia bait for the sake of it.
Interesting.
Yep. But going on to the next card. And talk about nostalgia.
Oh my goodness.
So this is Egyptian God Slime. It is a level 10 water fusion monster. Requires an aqua monster and one level 10 water monster. Must first either be fusion summoned or special summoned from your extra deck by attributing one level 10 aqua monster with 0 attack. This card can be treated as 1 or 3 tributes for the tribute summon of a monster. Cannot be destroyed by battle. Your opponent's monsters cannot cannot target for attacks, and your opponent cannot target with any card effects any monsters you control except for Egyptian God Slime.
Huh. Must either be fusion summoned or special summoned from your extra deck by attributing one level 10 aqua monster with 0 attack. So this definitely is archetype specific because I can't imagine
look at it.
I can't imagine there's that many level 10 aqua monsters with 0 attack, because there was
there's one.
I remember slimes somewhat being a thing, and they were trap monsters. So it was like what's the one? Is it Metal Reflect Slime? Is the one I'm thinking of?
Yep. To my knowledge, that's the only one.
Yeah. So the other option you have is to fusion summon this. Are you allowed to answer, is there a fusion spell specific to this, or would you just have to use polymerization?
You would just use any generic fusion spell, poly, super poly, anything.
So, well, actually, super poly is interesting, because if you that opens up an avenue for, if you sideboard this against an opponent playing aqua monsters, you could potentially gank their stuff, but that seems extremely, extremely niche. This card looks terrible. Unless I'm missing something, because like, when did the tribute summon of a monster? That's interesting that it doesn't say between one or three. It has to be 1 or it has to be 3. You can't use it for 2. So you can't even tribute this to like summon a Blue Eyes or like a Mega Monarch. It has to be a 1 or a 3. Cannot be destroyed by battle. Your opponent cannot target. So this thing draws all aggro. It draws all effects. It's 3,000, which is high, but there is stuff that beats over this. Here's the other thing, too. I feel like the trap is that this wants to care about the god cards, but all of the god cards except for Obelisk are terrible. Like, Slifer was like good in the battle pack draft if you got it, and that was like a big if. And then Ra is like a joke. Like, Ra is like unbelievably unplayable. I don't think that Obelisk is good enough in the modern era. And again, this is like how I felt about Crimson Dragon, where it's like you have to get some goofball aqua monster out, then you have to contact fuse this by tributing that, so you make just a slightly bigger goofball, and then you can use that to then summon your god card. This seems really bad. Unless I'm missing something, unless there's some crazy deck, I'm gonna say this card is bad.
Yeah, no, you're right. This card's shit. Would you believe this was selling for $50 at one point?
Why?
I think people were just trying to make, because God cards have gotten a lot of support in the past few years. People were just trying to either make this work or it was purely nostalgia bait. I don't know what it was, but this thing was $50 at like its peak, and I do not understand why.
I was gonna say, this card looks so I did a cursory Google after hearing this just to be like, are there even any level 10 aquas with 0 attack? And Metal Reflect Slime is level 10.
Yeah.
And it does have 0 attack because it was just meant to be like a big labyrinth wall to get in the way.
Yeah.
So I was like, you either have to get rid of 2 monsters. One has to be level 10, so you already have to have a level 10 monster, which, like, there's no reason to have a level 10 water monster that isn't aqua if you're already playing this card. So the fusion materials itself is just a moot point. Then you'd have to use this terrible trap card to then summon this terrible card, which lets you, the only thing it gives you is slight redirection and the ability to easily tribute into other terrible cards. So I think
yeah,
it just, not a single line of this read well.
I know people were trying to make this work with like a lot of the new Raw support, because you were easily able to bring out like Raw with this thing and then just keep going off from that. But even then, those decks weren't that good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no. So currently you're 3 for 2, and on to the last card. I actually had to look up the original version of this for this video. So have fun with
okay.
that.
I do know this card. I will say, because this was the face card for Vrains, right?
Yeah, this was the face card for like Code of the Duels, which was the first Link era set.
Yes,
So,
I do remember this because the Switch game, because there was a Switch game that had this, and I do remember hearing that this card got banned.
Ah, biscuits.
So I do know that this card is good.
Well, fuck. Well, we're gonna go over it anyway for posterity reasons. So, Firewall Dragon is a Link 4 monster that requires at least 2 or more monsters as material. Once while face up on the field, quick effect, you can target monsters on the field and or graveyard up to the number of monsters co-linked to this card, return into the hand, and if a monster this card points to is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon a monster from your hand. We don't need to beat around the bush. You already know this card's good.
Yeah, this card is ridiculous. Like,
yeah.
Because the thing is that one, it can bounce. One, it's easy to bring out, and two, it can bounce either an opponent's thing or it can bounce one of your own things. And then if it destroys something itself, or even if you just like point to something and then you blow up something with a bigger monster, you can either special summon something for free, or you can special summon the thing of yours that you bounced back if it has like a good ETB, or if you want to refresh like a once per turn. So yeah, I like have not seen this card in action, but I do know that this card is cracked. I think it's the only. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's the only face card from the anime that ever got banned.
I believe so, because considering 2 of them are normal monsters, have fun with that. Stardust was never banned. Utopia was never hit at any point. Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon was never hit. And Firewall was banned at one point. But the reason why it was banned is funny, because you could loop. You could just loop. That's why I pointed out that this is the old version of this, because this is pre-errata Firewall Dragon. That last effect there is not once per turn. You can do that as many times as you are able to. So you just looped. And I believe there was a combo with the Lycerus monsters, which were a series of like idle fairy type monsters that did burn damage, and I think you had a way to pop them and just keep cycling back between them all and just burn. Like, I think you were able to accomplish an FTK with this card. So yeah, it took a while, I think, for it to be banned, but yeah, no, this thing is a monster, and it took forever for them to even actually like errata it and bring it back.
Yeah, especially because like links are very easy to chain into each other, just because like the link from one monster counts towards the link towards a second monster. So if you were doing a bunch of links, you could like play a bunch of links and get all their effects, and then just link your larger links into Firewall.
Yeah.
So like you were already getting value prior to Firewall being out, and then Firewall coming out just made it even worse.
Yeah.
So
look, people say links were a mistake. Sometimes I agree, sometimes I disagree, but there's a lot of links banned that ain't this anymore, and I'll tell you that much. There was one I was really considering out also. It's a link monster called Link Cross. It is a 2-material link monster that when you bring it out, you get 2 tokens with it. That's it. That's pretty much it.
That sounds broken.
It was.
Already.
Banned. Yeah. Very much banned. You link spammed hard with that thing. Like, there's like 3 link monsters that are banned because they work so well with each other. It's Link Cross, it's Crystron Halki Fibrax, and I believe it's Mecha Phantom Beast or Auroradon. All are banned because of how well they synergize with each other. So yeah. But no, you went 4 for 2. That's
I'm gonna say if you wanna like cut a little bit out and just want to grab another one.
Nah, you're good. The Firewall was actually like the bonus one, because usually it's 5. But
okay, cool.
Throw something in there, try to like psych you out. But no, when I was like, oh, I know this card. Fuck.
Yeah, because like I played because there's the Switch game that came out in 2017. I got that and played through that, and then I also played Master Duel. So there's definitely like a gap, because the Switch game isn't like I basically played it
for Eternity Code, which was like the set that came out at that time. Which funny, because there's a joke that goes around in the Yugi community that we don't do prize, we don't do like money prize support. We do like a bunch of other random things like air fryers and stuff like that. But yeah, but one of the things that was always given out at like the locals level was copies of that game and like a Switch to go with it. Like, and that game had not been updated for years. Like, it is still
It's
outdated.
still a fun game.
It's a good game.
Because I played it before Master Duel came out, and it was just kind of a fun way to just like, I didn't play it to like play meta, because I didn't care. I was just like screwing around in my living room. But the other thing was, I played it just to get the packs that had like archetypes from when I played, so that I could like replay like Fire Fists and Mermails and like other stuff like that.
The packs in that game are also bizarre. They're
very strange.
They're tied to specific characters, and like I can't literally describe it unless you've seen it, because they separate them into the series. And also, I should bring this out: Vrains wasn't done airing yet, because it's missing cards that were pivotal to the end of Vrains. And what's even funnier is what was it? Legacy of the Duelist, the first one, had only like I think 2 duels of Arc 5, I want to say, or something like that. It had a very small amount of one series, and now the sequel didn't finish the last one.
Yeah.
It's like, good
and like,
God.
I pretty much just did the computer. I think I played online in that game like maybe 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Just because, 1, no one was really playing it by the time that I jumped on it, and 2, I kind of just wanted to just like do my own thing. But I distinctly remember whenever you started a new series, it would be like, you need to play a game using like the built-in deck.
Yeah.
And for the most part, it was like fine. But the one when we got to Arc V, I was like, I hate pendulums. Stop making me use pendulums.
They're not that bad.
I hate this mechanic so much.
They're not that bad. They got better.
I will say, because I know that this is kind of like a Yugi Boomer meme, I didn't stop playing because of pendulums. I stopped playing. I was already not really playing because I was transitioning into Magic, and then pendulums came out kind of like at this, like they kind of like crossfaded into each other.
Yeah.
Where like I was already not really playing Yu-Gi-Oh, because I know a lot of that's kind of like a meme of like, I loved Yu-Gi-Oh and it was great, and then pendulums came out and then they like sold their cards and got out of the game.
It happens every time a new summoning mechanic's introduced. It happened with synchros, it happened with Xyz, it happened with pendulums, and it happened with links.
See, I do like links. I do agree that I think they're too easy and too generic, but I do like that they are not very big a lot of the time, because like a lot of the like synchros, Xyz, outside of some like utilitarian stuff, they're generally larger monsters, because you want something that's bigger than the 2 things you're getting rid of for it, or at least something that gives you more value. And I do appreciate that a lot of links are like, this requires 2 monsters and it's like 1,000 attack or something.
There are a decent amount of like boss monster link monsters, but that's what they are. They're boss monsters. You climb into those. But especially early days, when I tell you, it's in an episode that I don't think has aired yet, but I think I gave it to either Yoggoth or Tap and Sack. There's a link monster that is 1200 attack, requires 2 materials, and all it is, no effect, downward pointing arrows going in like both directions on your side of the field. And that was heavily played when that came out, because it was the first link monster that had downward pointing link arrows exclusively.
That's really silly.
Very, very.
That's very, very silly. I think there's also a recency bias thing with a lot of summoning mechanics, where like everyone assumes that the new summoning mechanic is immediately good because it's just the new thing that Konami's pushing. And you know, a lot of the time, like, you know, it's like with anything, like when Magic introduces like adventure creatures in Throne of Eldraine, they printed really good adventure creatures because they wanted you to play with them. But like the initial run of Xyz monsters weren't like banger all-stars. Like it was like,
I had a couple of good ones.
There was like Utopia, and then there was like the Gem Knight Pearl even saw play. There was Acid Golem. Like they're like fine, but they're not like multi-format all-stars.
And then you have like Baby Taragon and a lot of like level 1 Xyz monsters or rank 1 Xyz monsters. We're like, how the am I supposed to bring this thing out?
Yeah, I remember rank 1s and rank 2s were like kind of jokes for a while because they were just like, even in the archetypes that supported them, they just weren't good.
Yeah.
And then they kind of got the memo that you have to like push the gas a little bit. And now, like rank 2, you can't build an archetype that revolves around 2s that people just shoving sprite into it.
Yeah.
Because the sprite engine is just so efficient and so good that like I'm glad that they're making more of this stuff playable, because there's been so many times where it's like I remember when I was playing, you played either a rank 4 or a rank 5 deck or you lost. And then it was everything is rank 7s or you lose. And now it seems like there's much more diversity of summoning mechanics.
I love that I can pinpoint exactly what was going on in the meta at that point, where you're just like, oh yeah, rank 4 and 5s or you lose. Rank 7s or you lose. I wonder what he's talking about.
Yeah. Because yeah, that was when they were going super hard in on Dragon Rulers. But like, rank 4s, I remember it was like Fire Fist was the boogeyman for a while. Then it was Mermails. But that was like that was before when Mermails first came out.
They weren't that good.
They were definitely good, but they weren't like. That was before they had printed. I
think it was Abyssgaios.
No, because Abyssgaios was in the first set. It was before they had printed Dracosac, and it was before they printed Abystius. So if you wanted to like go into Big Eye, you had to use 2 Abyss Megalos, which like wasn't hard, but it also wasn't like the easiest thing in the world.
Also, it's like, do I even really want to do this? I have 2 26s on board already. Why am I trading these in for 126 and maybe my opponent's best monster, which might not even be that good?
Yeah, so it's like you would just hit with them, and then you could go into Abyssgaios and like go and get other stuff. But after they printed Abystius and Dracosac, that's when it just became the rank 7 deck.
Yeah. And
then Spellbooks and Dragon Ruler just took that way over the top.
Yeah.
I remember I went to a Target with a friend of mine who I was trying to get into Yu-Gi-Oh! And we just bought we each bought a tin that had a pack of Tachyon Galaxy, and I pulled a Big Eye during Dragon Ruler, and it was like $60 at the time.
Oh yeah, the $100 Dracosacs as well. It's like,
oh my god. And then the last really big chase card I remember before I got out of the game was Exciton Knight.
Oh yeah,
that was the other, like, that card was like $150 at one point. I don't even think it sees play anymore, does it?
It sees some fringe play because some decks did want like rank 4s that were able to just wipe the board, and Exciton Knight is like the best one to do it because you were able to do it on your opponent's main phase. So that was pretty good. But for me, like, the big chase cards from when I was like predominantly playing, because I've been on and off Yu-Gi-Oh! For a while. The big ones for me were like Cosmo Dark Destroyer was like the first real big one that I remember. That one was really funny too, because that was right before the big YCS that happened around its release. And at the time,
I think I know that card.
Yeah, Cosmo Dark Destroyer is the Star Wars Wizard of Oz archetype. So
oh yes, these. I remember like seeing people talk about this because I was still like on the fringe of Yu-Gi-Oh! Content. And yeah, I remember people talking about Cosmos, and then like going to TCG Player and seeing Cosmos all over the front page, and then like a month later they were gone and no one talked about them.
Which is wild because like they were still a pretty powerful deck for the most part, but I think also what happened was Necroz had come out like just a little bit afterwards, and that was another big chase card during my day, Necroz of Trishula, which was when ritual monsters actually got to be good for once.
I remember hearing that Necrozes were tier 0 at one point.
They absolutely were. I think a lot of cards from that archetype got like either limited or banned. I knew Trishula got banned. I think Unicorn got limited. I think Brianak got limited. The deck was just all over the place. But yeah, no, I think what was with Dark Destroyer was at the time YCSs had a cap on how much vendors could sell cards for. So, but they didn't have a cap on how much they could buy them for. So if you opened like Dark Destroyers out of like your entry packs, you were able to flip Dark Destroyers like it was an infinite money glitch and just start pocketing the change and still keep going.
And they would, like, even if they were taking a hit on it, they would still buy it?
Because they were selling them because it was the top meta. Like, they were gone usually within like the next hour.
I'm surprised they still weren't like. I'm surprised that they were still giving like full trade-in value.
Like, people were buying them, I think, for 120, but they could only sell them for 100. But even then, they were gone. So even realistically, you're only at about $20 outside of everything else you were selling.
That's crazy.
That's
insane. Really wild. I remember in Yu-Gi-Oh! It was very, very rare for a card to hit $100. I wasn't playing during the era, because like when I was playing, the only card I can think of that hit $100 was Exciton Knight. Because even like, well, Big Eyes got to like 60 or 70. I think Draco Sax hit 100.
So I get to be a bit of a Yu-Gi boomer for this one. It only took six years for Yu-Gi-Oh to have its first $100 card. That was Dark Armed Dragon. Back.
Yes, I was gonna say. I remember. I was not playing during this era, but I remember hearing like, Dad used to be like a $250 card.
I think it was about. I think it was 300 for a playset. I don't think it hit that high, although there isn't much price charting information about it. It's only word of mouth, but I do believe it was pretty high. It was like the first big example of like being priced out of the game. So like a lot of people left during that point.
Oh wait, no, we're both wrong. It was Mech Chaser.
Well, that was a tournament pack card. That's kind of like cheating in a way.
Yeah, but it was still like a
$1,000.
meta requirement, and it was like $200 for a while.
Yeah, because it was like the best normal summon you could play.
Yeah.
And then like Morphing Jar took its place because of how powerful that thing was.
Yeah, but when that came out, I was like, God, tournament pack. That would have been like 2002.
Yeah, it was the first. It was the first one.
Yeah, so I was 7. No, 2002. I would have been 8. So I definitely wasn't buying $200 Mech Chasers. I was buying booster packs from like the corner store on the block, and then like making a deck out of like random cards I opened.
Yeah, look, we had our starter decks, and that was about it. And that's actually a format within itself, which is really funny. I think it's called Yugi Kaiba format, where it was only the starter decks, which is really funny. But yeah, no. But yeah, you went 4-2 this episode. I think that puts you pretty above most of them. I think the one who got the closest to undefeated, I think, was Sully. I think he got the closest, or might have actually done it. I don't quite remember. But yeah. Anything you want to say before we close out?
No, just thanks for having me. This is super fun. I feel like I keep like a kind of tangential, like Yu-Gi-Oh is my one game that I'm like, this game is terrible, but it's fun. And I think that a lot of the time there's a distinction that gets drawn of like, if a game is good, it's automatically fun, and vice versa. And I'm like, Yu-Gi-Oh is a terrible game. It's horribly balanced, it's horribly designed, it's terribly managed, but it is fun. It's a fun game to play. And I think that is that's something very important. Like, I know a lot of Peachy has this with like Overwatch, where she's like, Overwatch sucks, but it's fun.
I haven't been able to play Overwatch since it turned to 2, because the moment I saw the XP crawl on the battle pass, I'm like, this is untenable for someone who actually like enjoys playing other games, because holy crap.
Oh yeah, we played it really heavily for like maybe a couple of months and then fell off of it.
Yeah.
Because again, it was fun, but I just like it wants to be a battle pass game, and I've only got I can barely keep up with a battle pass on Arena, let alone do it on like multiple other games. But yeah, thanks for having me. This was super fun. I would love to do more of these in the future. I always like trying to guess if a card is playable.
Hell yeah. Join us next time with our guest. I don't know. I haven't booked them yet. See you next time.